Today we're diving into something pretty deep. It's called the cycle of sin. And it's a pattern that, a lot of us get trapped in without even seeing it happen.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how some patterns in your life just keep repeating, even when you know they're harmful? Think about that one habit you just can't seem to kick, or that decision you keep making, knowing it's not going to end well. Yeah, these are those silent traps we're talking about.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's talk about that word sin. It can be a loaded term, right? But for our purposes here, let's think of it a little differently. It's basically any action, any habit, or even just an intention that moves you away from your highest self. Anything that chips away at your discipline, your peace of mind, or your honesty with yourself.
So where does a pattern like this even start? Well, the thing is, it almost never starts with some big dramatic event.
No, it's not loud or obvious at all. It usually starts small. Things like procrastination, a little bit of laziness, maybe being just a little dishonest with yourself. And what's really important to get here is that it's not about that one single action. It's about the direction these small things start to pull your life in.
Okay, so how does that happen? How does one little choice snowball into a powerful, unbreakable habit? Well, there's a pretty clear path it follows. It all kicks off with an impulse, right? That initial desire or urge. Then, almost immediately, our brain jumps in with justification. It starts defending the action. And finally, after you do it a few times, that's repetition. And that's when the action becomes familiar and then totally automatic.
And this is what that impulse sounds like in your head. Just this once. We've all been there, right? It feels so harmless. But that little thought, that's what cracks the door open. Almost every big habit we have, good or bad, probably started with that exact thought.
And then, right on cue, comes the justification. Everyone does it. It's like our mind becomes its own little lawyer, making a case for why it was okay. We start to make it feel normal, telling ourselves, hey, it's not a big deal. This is just what people do.
And this one, I'll fix it later. This might be the sneakiest justification of them all. We're essentially borrowing a feeling of relief from a future that might never happen. We promise our future self will deal with it, which lets our present self off the hook. It lets the pattern continue without that immediate pang of guilt.
And this is the scary part. When you keep repeating something, what once shocked your conscience, what made you feel a little bit bad, it starts to feel normal. The guilt just fades. That thing that felt like a compromise now just feels like another part of your day.
And this is where it gets really dangerous. The habit gets so deep that it stops being something you do and starts becoming who you think you are. This is just how I am. It becomes part of your identity, and that's when it feels impossible to change.
So, okay, if we know this stuff is bad for us, why is it so hard to break free? Well, it turns out we're not just fighting an action, we're fighting an emotional trap.
These cycles stick around because they're fueled by emotion. They give us something we crave, right? A little stress relief, a quick escape, a hit of pleasure, maybe some validation. We get hooked on the feeling the habit gives us, not just the habit itself.
And this brings up a really important difference: guilt versus shame. See, guilt can actually be helpful. It's a signal that says, hey, I did something that goes against my values. But shame is different. Shame says, I am wrong. It's not about the action anymore, it's an attack on your identity. And that's what makes you feel broken and stuck.
All right, so we've seen how this whole cycle gets started and why it has such a strong grip on us. But let's get to the good stuff. Let's talk about the path to freedom.
And freedom begins right here, with awareness. And listen, this isn't about guilt or self-hate. Not at all. It's just about clear, honest recognition. You have to see the pattern before you can change it. Just notice it, without judging yourself.
Okay, so after awareness comes responsibility. And again, this isn't about punishment, it's about ownership. It's about recognizing that you have the power to change things. It's that huge shift in mindset from I'm just broken to, okay, I played a part in this, which means I can play a part in fixing it. That's everything.
The key here is that you can't just get rid of an old cycle. You have to build a new one to take its place. So, you take the old pattern, impulse, escape, comfort, and you replace it. Instead of impulse, you practice a pause. Instead of escape, you build discipline. And instead of that temporary comfort, you aim for a real sense of purpose.
And here's the bottom line. Your past does not define you. Your next decision does. That awareness we talked about, that's your power. Every single choice you make from now on is a chance to weaken that old pattern and build the new one. Your past is just information. It's not a life sentence.
So it all comes down to this one question, a really powerful one. What kind of person are you choosing to become? Because now that you see the cycle, every choice you make, big or small, is your answer.
Look, if this has resonated with you and you want to really dig in, we've got the complete guide from our source material linked down in the description. It has all the chapters, all the reflection questions, everything. It's a seriously powerful tool if you're ready to make a change. So check it out, reflect, learn, and change.